Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. We are going to make a start. I'm sure some people will be joining as we go through, but we're going to make a start now. So, first of all, congratulations. You have your place at the John Roan School, and I am thrilled to be welcoming all our new families to the John Roan School. I'm sure we've got lots of parents and students eager to find out as much as they can about the John Roan. So my name is Dr. Sanderson. I'm the principal at the John Roan School. I started in January, so forgive me if there's questions that I can't answer because I don't know everything yet, but hopefully I can answer as many of your questions as possible. I also have with me Dr. Taylor Mullings, who is our Vice Principal for Behaviour. He started here in September, so he knows a bit more about the school than me, but we do also have Mr. Garvey, who is the Assistant Principal for Key Stage 3, and he has been here a long time. How many years, sir?
Over 10 now.
Over 10 years. So there, I'm sure any question you have, Mr. Garvey will be able to answer it. So firstly, I'm going to discuss a little bit about how this assembly is going to work. So throughout this assembly, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat. After my presentation and the other presentations, we will spend some time responding to as many questions as we can. We may not be able to answer all your questions because it is a Friday night. We don't want to be going on until 8 o'clock, but we'll take out the main themes that are coming from the questions and respond to them. We will then post a frequently asked questions section on the website that you will be able to read later. So if there's any questions we didn't get time to answer, we can follow up with our frequently asked questions. And also that means that you can go back and read our responses. Also, I should warn people that we are recording this assembly. This is so that you're able to go back and watch it if there's any details you want clarification on, but also for those families who are unable to join live, they can still watch this presentation. We will post the link on this on our website so that you can watch it, and we will send that link to all parents so they know how to access the assembly. So what we're going to be talking about in this assembly, I'm going to give a little bit about our history and our mission as a school and some details about how we communicate with parents and the important dates coming up. I'm then going to hand over to Dr. Taylor Mullings, who's going to talk about how you can prepare your child for the transition into secondary. And then I'm going to hand over to Mr. Garvey, who's going to talk about all the exciting opportunities that we have at the John Roan, particularly in terms of enrichment. So a little bit about the history of the John Roan School. We are really fortunate as a community to have a very unique and long history. I don't think there's any other state school in the country that has such a strong historical tradition, and we are really proud of our historical heritage. So over 300 years ago, John Roan, who was a member of the royal household for Charles I, he founded the school. And he left part of his estate for the education of children in Greenwich. And that money is still used to fund parts of the school. The school's motto, Honore et Labore, which means with honour and with hard work, suggests that excellence, hard work, ambition, and social responsibility were at the heart of John Roan's vision for the school. The school wanted all students, no matter what their background, to achieve academic excellence through developing the virtues of hard work and ambition. But the first part of the school's motto, Honore, suggests that John Roan also wanted to instill in the students a sense of social responsibility, meaning that they care about their community. So what does John Roan's vision 300 years ago mean for us today? As a school, our mission today is on the slide there. Just take a moment to read that, please. So we want all our pupils, no matter what their starting point, to achieve the highest possible academic outcomes, which means the best possible GCSE results. And that continues John Rowan's legacy that no matter what your background, all children are entitled to a really high quality education. Now, I firmly believe that every single child is a special individual capable of extraordinary things. And that's why at the John Rowan, we are constantly looking at how we can challenge our pupils to do what they think they can't, to work harder, and to be at their best. So we want every single pupil to leave us with the best possible outcomes so they can lead happy and fulfilled lives. But we're not just an exam factory. We also want to nurture character traits that will enable our students to be responsible citizens who care for their communities. We want our pupils to leave here with a social conscience, meaning that they want to bring about positive change in their society. And really importantly, we want our school to be a place of joy. And this point about happiness is really important because we do at the John Rowan have very high standards, but we also want the John Rowan to be a place of joy. And that means that students look forward to coming to school and they're happy at school as they know that they're going to receive really high quality teaching and learning that challenges them to work hard and think hard, but also they're excited about the broad range of enrichment activities that are on offer. And you're going to hear in a moment from Mr. Garvey about all the exciting opportunities that we have in our enrichment programme. But really important for me is that we want students to feel loved. We want them to feel that their teachers and all the staff at the John Rowan really care about them and do whatever they can to support them to reach their full potential. Now, how we achieve this mission is through our pride values. And this is something that you will hear a lot about during your 7-year journey with us. Pride. These are our values, which I'm briefly going to explain to you. So students at the John Rowan are proud of themselves, their community, and their heritage. They're respectful of one another and of their environment. We are lucky to have fantastic resources and facilities here, and it's really important for our students that they are grateful for what they have in terms of our resources. They are involved in every aspect of school life, and we have lots of opportunities, extracurricular opportunities for students to be involved in, and they are determined to change the world around them for the better. They have that social conscience. And most importantly, they pursue excellence in everything that they do. Now, as I said, we're very lucky as a school to have fantastic facilities. And we have, first of all, the West Combe Park site. Now, this is a very modern building with new facilities. And this is where our new Year 7s will spend most of their time. This is the Key Stage 3 and the Key Stage 4 site. We also have Maze Hill, which is our sixth form site, and this is a much older building. Parts of it are very beautiful, and parts of it date back to the 1920s. It's our sixth form site, but some of our Key Stage 3 lessons, such as DT, art, food, and some music and drama lessons are taught at the sixth form site at Maze Hill. So students then walk from West Combe Park to Maze Hill. Now, we're very lucky to have fantastic sports facilities. So we have at West Combe Park, we have a really big sports hall, which is used for PE lessons, but also for after school clubs, particularly basketball. That's very big at the school. We also have the John Rowan playing fields, and we are doing some PE lessons. Children are driven to the playing fields on the minibus. We have an all-weather football pitch. And really importantly and very excitingly, we have the Braithwaite Centre, which is a residential centre in Braithwaite, which is near Keswick in the Lake District. This was established by Arthur Hope, who was a former head teacher of the John Rowan School in the 1920s. And he wanted to give students who lived in London the opportunity to experience really beautiful rural environment, which is why he established the Braithwaite Centre. We have unlimited access to the Braithwaite Centre, and we organise every year for there to be trips in the summer for each year group to go to the Braithwaite Centre, where they can do a range of activities such as archery, canoeing and rock climbing. And I know Mr. Garvey is going to talk about that more in a moment. Now, the partnership that we have with you is very important to us because we know that pupils learn best when the school and the home work together really well. Now, we will communicate initially to you through the website. And if you see on the admissions page, if you go down, you'll see primary to secondary transition. You click on that. That is where you will see all the resources for transition. The link for this assembly will be posted on there next week. We will also communicate with you through face-to-face events, and there will be some face-to-face events for transition. And then when you start the school, you will have a face-to-face parents' evening every year. And we will communicate with you via email and via text message as well. Arbor is our MIS system, and that's how we will communicate lots of information to you as well. How we communicate information to you about independent learning is also through Satchel 1. Now, I know that often an anxiety for students and parents is about homework, because that can be quite different between primary and secondary, but we will communicate with you really clearly the expectations around homework. And I think Mr. Garvey will talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But we have an online platform called Satchel 1. And all parents have access to that. Teachers will load the homework onto Satchel 1. Parents and students can access it and see an online homework calendar. So that will enable you to see exactly what homework your child is being set, and when the deadline is. Most of our homeworks for Key Stage 3 are online platforms such as Sparks Reader, Seneca and Sparks Maths. But I assure you that there will be lots and lots of supports for students when they start in September about how to go about their homework. They will be trained how to use these online platforms, and we will give them lots of time to make sure that they're really confident using them. So how can you help your child in the lead up to them starting in September? There are lots of events that are coming up in the coming months, so make a note of those in your calendar. Talk with your child about transition. That's the best way if they've got any worries, to just talk through it. But please do phone or email us if there's any more information that you need. So I've got now some key dates. We will be sending this all out in letters to you. It will all be on the website, but key dates coming up will be the 19th of May. This will be an admissions evening. It will be about starting at 4 o'clock, finishing at 7 o'clock. And this is where you will complete all the essential forms for our system, and you'll get to meet a few more of our staff. Then another really important event is Tuesday, the 1st of July. And this again will be in the evening, probably around 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. And this is a parent information evening where you will get information about what your child will be doing in the transition day on the 2nd of July. And also you'll get to meet some parents of students who are already at the school, and they can answer some of your questions. Now, we will send you much more information about those key dates, but I just wanted to highlight the key ones for you. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to Dr. Taylor Munnings, who's going to briefly tell you a little bit about how you can prepare your child for the transition.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Taylor Mullings, as Dr. Sanderson said, and I'm one of the vice principals in the school. So it's really good to meet you. My job is, or my role in the school is being responsible for behaviour. So that is my focus, but also safeguarding as well. So my job is to ensure that our classrooms are really good, positive learning environments that are free from disruption, but also that we make sure that everybody feels safe in the school and happy in the school. As part of that, one of my jobs is to make sure that students attend every day, and that's really, really important as well. And I'm just going to spend just a few moments talking a little bit about preparing for school, because it's really, really important as you make this transition, this change from primary to secondary. So in some ways, I'm talking to students, but also, of course, to parents too, and that's really, really important. So I've got 5 things really that I really want to briefly touch upon, and we will come again at these in some of our events. So the first thing is, of course, is that as students, you're moving from a smaller environment to a large secondary school, and that something is to note of. Most primary schools are between have about 250 to 300 children in them, whereas in secondary school you're coming to a school which has got 1,150 students in. So you're coming to a much more larger environment than the one that you're currently at. And so that's really important that we recognize that fact. You'll come into the building and you'll see that it's a large building and it's a busy building. However, it is a really exciting place to be. And one of the things to be thinking about is that when you come into the school, is making sure you enjoy the space. Now, my advice, of course, is to make sure that you come to the orientation days, come to the induction days, so that you can see the building, you can get a feel of the building, and then you start to learn where everything is. All year sevens, when they start, don't know where their classrooms is or where the bathrooms are, how to find people, but really, really quickly, you begin to work out where things are. And so coming during the induction period is a good way to get to learn the environment and get to see it. And then when you get here in September, you'll see much more about what the environment is like, and you'll know where it is to go. But it's something just to think about from the outset. The second thing really is about routines and increased independence. And so in some ways, I'm talking to both parents and students. One of the things about moving to secondary school is there are lots of routines in our school that help us to make sure that we're successful here. About moving around the building, for example, about how to complete homework, about how we start lessons, how to talk to staff. There's lots of routines, and those are important. And just if you're going to be joining us at the John Roan School, you will learn all of the routines about our school, and before you know it, you'll know them really, really well. However, routines at home are really, really important. And one of the things that I'd appeal to parents and carers and families about is helping your child to make sure that they are really, really ready for school. So some of the things that you can already start to be working on is thinking about things like, for example, routines in terms of homework and where they will do the homework at home. Is there a space that they can do it in? Is there a time that they will do it in? Getting them into that routine is really, really important, and having to think about what that will look like in September is an important thing. Similarly, about things, for example, about using mobile phones and electronic devices. At what time in the evening will those things end, so that when they come to school in the morning, they're alive and really, really ready and excited for school. Getting into those routines are really, really important to be able to do. And one of the things that I would say that is important is not to leave it until the first day of term, and really be thinking about, in the latter parts of the summer holiday, about beginning those routines so that students feel really, really comfortable when they start in September. So getting into those routines quickly is important. The second thing to say is about independence. And of course, coming to secondary school means that as you get older, there will be much more increased independence. And so organizing yourself is going to be an important part of the aspect of being a secondary school student. One of the things that I always say to year sevens, but it applies to as it much does in year 7 as it does in year 13, is about making sure that we're ready for each school day. And to be ready for each school day means that we have our uniform, we know where it is, we have all of our equipment, we have the books that we need, or the PE kit that we need, and that we're ready to go. My best advice, of course, is to make sure that we get those things ready in the evening before the day. So when we wake up in the morning, we're able to get ready and go through the door knowing that we've got everything that we need for the day. And of course, parents and carers, your role is going to be important, particularly in those first period of time when they're in year seven is helping them get ready for school in the morning to make sure that they're on time. And a good way of doing that is making sure that they've got all of the things. It's not unusual for a student to come to school having not got their tie or missed a bit of PE equipment or haven't got their book. And those things are normal things. And obviously, they will need your support in making sure that they've got themselves really, really ready for school. So making sure that there's strong routines at home will help us in terms of making sure that there are strong routines at school as well, and that they come to school really, really successful and happy as part of that and prepared for what needs to happen. Third, and I suspect if you're in year six at this moment in time, you were expecting this in terms of secondary school, but moving from primary school to secondary school means that you'll have multiple teachers. You'll have a number of teachers. So you'll have a different teacher for maths, English, science, geography, RE, all of those different subjects, you'll have a different teacher. So it may be the case, for example, at the moment you've got one key teacher or maybe two, and then you might be taught by other people during the school week. Whereas at secondary school, you have a teacher or a new teacher for every single subject. And so getting ready for building relationships with lots and lots of different teachers is really, really important. And of course, for parents, we want to make sure that we're in contact with you. And as Dr. Sanderson said, there are lots of ways of being able to talk to staff, but it may feel very different in terms of your child having multiple teachers. What I would say, however, is that your child will have a head of year who's a really good contact and somebody to speak to where you've got a concern. Your child's tutor is a really key contact because your child will see that person every single day. And the child's pastoral leader, so the pastoral officer for each year group. They are the key people in the school who you can have contact with when you need to in the school in itself. And that's in addition to the subject leads. So it may feel different from where you might know your your child's teacher really well, and you speak to them regularly. There might be less contact with subject teachers on a day-to-day basis, but those are people that you can talk to. Dr. Sanderson talked a little bit about homework, and students always ask about homework, particularly when they're moving from year six to year seven, and what that will be really like. And it's, of course, difficult sometimes to be able to explain that. But what is important is of course, homework for many of you will be different, in so much as that we will be setting more homework in more subjects more often. And so, parents, it's really, really important, as I talked about in terms of routines, that from the outset, you know where it is that your child will be able to do homework and when it is that they'll be doing so. So using, for example, our homework calendar, so we know when homework's going to be coming and where it is that your child is going to be able to have a space to be able to complete it, is an important part of them developing their independence and getting into the routines of the school in itself. And so, of course, that will be a different or different from primary school in itself. And the demands, of course, as they get older, will be different. And so it's important that they organize themselves. And of course, if you're a student, it's really important that you make sure that you always understand what the homework is and that you set aside enough time in order to make sure that you're completing it. And so that's going to be a key transition. And my fifth point is about uniform and equipment. Some of you will be wearing a school uniform already and will be comfortable and know what it means and what it's like to wear a school uniform. Some of you won't. Absolutely fine. But when you come to the John Rowan School, you will be wearing a school uniform. Hopefully you can see on the slide those students who are wearing their school uniform with pride. Making sure that we've got our uniform ready every single day is going to be important, and making sure that every single day we're 100% smart around the building. And it's your responsibility as a year seven to make sure that you've always got your uniform. So you might want to have a think about, well, where will you put your uniform? How will you make sure that you've got your tie, for example, or you've got the right socks, or you've got enough shirts? And have a think about that and talk to your parents about how that will work to make sure that you've got your uniform every day. Even as adults, we need to make sure that we're ready every single day. So, for example, I make sure that all of the things that I'm wearing to school the next day are ready the night before so that I'm really, really prepped. So I do not need to think about that in the morning. I just need to get ready and get my uniform on before I come to school. And that's the best way. And similarly, in terms of equipment, it's a similar process. We will tell you what equipment that it is that you need, and we will check to make sure that you have it every single week. But of course, it's really good that you get into a routine of checking that you've got your own equipment every day and that you're doing a thorough check every single week to make sure that, for example, you've got enough pens. So if one pen runs out, that you've got a second one that you can use and that's available to you. So those are the five things that I wanted to talk about. Of course, I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person and getting to know you and your families, and I'm looking forward to that. Of course, during this period of time, there's lots of emotions. And, it's absolutely normal to feel a sense of wonder about what secondary school is going to be like. Also, to feel really, really excited about what it's like. But there's also sometimes some worry about going to secondary school and what that will mean, being in a different environment, different routines, and also some sadness about leaving primary school. All of those emotions are normal. And parents, of course, I know you'll support your children in terms of talking to them about thinking about and cherishing their time at primary school, but also helping them to think about what secondary school will be like and how these 7 years from year 7 all the way to year 13 will be an exciting and different time. And it is not unusual for students to feel both of those emotions, sometimes feeling really, really excited, sometimes feeling really, really worried, and that will happen. We all remember what school was like, and we remember what those worries and those excitements are like. So if you see those changes in your children, of course, you can expect that will happen. And obviously, talking to them about it and reassuring them about what will come next is really, really important. So I'm going to stop there. I look forward to, as I said, meeting you at some of our induction and our events in the coming months. Very good to meet you, and I shall see you soon. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Garvey, who's our Vice Principal for Key Stage 3.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to communicate with you this evening. Thank you for joining us. A couple of apologies. I've got a cold this evening, so it might not be super clear from me. And also, we did plan to have a visual of ourselves communicating with you in the corner, but that Teams has not permitted that. So what we'll try and do at the end of my presentation is we might allow the video to take control rather than the slides. So please bear with us. Initially, I'd just like to welcome you to the John Roan School community. What I'll try and do this evening is give you an insight into school life for a Year 7 student. And I think it's an incredibly exciting phase. Moving from primary to secondary is, of course, a time where young people will be nervous, and as we've just heard there, that's normal actually. But also it's incredibly exciting because there'll be a host of opportunities, some of which I'll detail just in a moment. We are a school that's been awarded a Kite Mark as a school of character by the Jubilee Centre, and the quotation that you can read there was written in a recent inspection. So we're very proud of the enrichment, the personal development opportunities that exist for our students, and we're on a journey of sort of continuous improvement. So we're always looking to develop what we do and improve what we do in this particularly important area. I'm going to show you this image here, which I think is really interesting. However, I totally appreciate that you won't be able to see the detail of it. But what you can see is that we map out this 7-year journey for our students. And along this journey, along this pathway around the middle logo, we've got lots of key milestones, such as, let's say, work experience, outdoor education trips, really key entitlements in regards to the PSHE curriculum. And what we propose is that when students join us as part of our school community, and when we've got our new members with us now, or starting certainly in September, is that you will be with us within our school community for between 5 and 7 years, and that's a very, very exciting prospect. It's important for us to give you an insight into what takes place in terms of our pastoral program, and I think great work takes place here. We have reading sessions every week, and we have career sessions. We use a platform called Unifrog, which is a fantastic resource. And in some institutions, actually, Unifrog access is permitted, maybe in year 11 or in year 12. But actually, we ensure that all of our students at the beginning of year 7 have Unifrog accounts, so they can start talking about their career ambitions and start thinking about how they can make their impact in our society from the very beginning of their journey with us. Okay, we we have an oracy focus in year 7, 8 and 9 on the same day every week, which I really enjoy actually. So on Fridays in our school, we have our big picture oracy question. And actually, I've just shared with you 4 recent questions which were hotly debated in all of our classrooms. Is it okay to judge? Should footballers be paid more than nurses? Can you choose to be healthy? Are humans ruining the earth? And as I'm sure you can appreciate, these big questions are debated passionately by our students. And what we do is we set up really purposeful debates by using sentence stems and some really, really good practice that we've actually shared with the wider network actually in United Learning in regards to how we can support our students to develop those really confident oracy skills, which we know are so important for life. We focus on attendance, of course you would expect us to, and every week students attend an assembly, which is a really great opportunity for us to focus on our values, on the characters we're looking for our students to be building, and to pick up on any sort of contemporary issues and really key messages that are communicated to our students. We have a PSHE program, so students attend a PSHE session every week, and we actually follow a thematic model which is informed by the PSHE Association. And there are 3 key themes: relationships, health and well-being, living in the wider world. And these sessions are really, really important. They're a key part of the sort of social and personal development of our students. And I have the benefit of being able to drop into these sessions and see the students learning and communicating really positively on a weekly basis in regards to what are very, very important themes. We champion leadership opportunities because we know that actually students are entitled to these types of opportunities. We're quite excited that we've actually relaunched our school council this week. So there's a real great buzz in the school community, and these school councillors are really motivated to make an impact, and a lot of them have been telling me they're really looking forward to presenting at the appropriate times to our head teacher and to kind of represent the student body as best they can. We have an absolutely fantastic Duke of Edinburgh programme, so students from year 9 upwards are invited to participate in the Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme. And yeah, we have really high participation rates and completion rates in regards to the D.V. programme. We offer the bronze and the silver award, and there are sort of longer term plans to perhaps offer the gold award at post 16, but we do a very good job, dare I say, of providing students with lots and lots of opportunities to develop a range of skills through this particular award. The Bait Mate is a very popular programme that operates here at the John Rowan School too, and we have Model UN as well. And we're really excited actually because our year 10 students are going to New York on Sunday. Actually, they're going to New York on Sunday for a week to participate in the Model UN conference. So really, really exciting opportunity for those students. And talking about opportunities, enrichment is something again that we feel passionately is an entitlement. We think it's important that we offer a broad range of opportunities. There are so many different clubs operating out of our library that I think there's kind of a club really for everybody. We have basketball, as Dr. Sanderson mentioned a moment ago, which is very, very popular here at the John Rowan School, as is football. Badminton Club is a club I run on Friday. My colleague Mr. Shaw runs Boxing Club, which is really, really positive, popular club on a Thursday night. We have Drama Club. And so on and so forth. There's a range of clubs being run out of the music department. New clubs include music technology, so students that are interested in music production really engage well there, and some students are interested in rapping, so they've been doing some sort of rapping / oracy work there, which has been really innovative, which is fantastic. We're excited that we've got 5 new table tennis tables that are going to be installed out on the playground very soon, so they'll certainly be in place for September, which I know the students will really appreciate the use of. You may well have heard us talking about Braithwaite on your visits, and it's something that we're really proud of, and something that's actually very unique to the John Roan School. So we have preferential booking rights to a really beautiful residential centre based in a place called Braithwaite, which is not too far from Keswick in the Lake District. Now, our students love going to Braithwaite. It's a week's residential opportunity, and there's opportunities to experience the outdoor sort of environments, kayaking, rock climbing, mountain biking, and so on and so forth. But really, I think the feedback from our students is that it's the opportunity to be out of the city, away with their friends, away from mobile phones. Believe it or not, students will reflect at the end of the week that that has actually been very positive for them, and to create memories for life, hopefully. I saw a student, an ex-student on the street just outside school recently, and he said to me, "Mr. Garvey, please tell me you still operate Braithwaite." And I said, "Of course we do." And he said, "Oh, that's really good," because it's just clear that it's an experience that children obviously benefit from at the time, but these experiences are lasting, and they go with people after they leave us here at the John Roan School. I won't talk in too much detail about curriculum today, but it is certainly worth giving you an overview that all of our curriculums apply or employ the 6 principles that you can see here on the screen. So entitlement, coherence, mastery, adaptability, representation, and we want them to be full of character. So lots of planning, as you would expect, goes on behind the scenes within our curriculum teams, and our specialists create kind of roadmaps and coherent curriculums which are designed to be most advantageous for the students. And what the curriculums look like, you can establish by looking on our website, and there you'll see some roadmaps, you'll see some knowledge organisers, but you'll actually see those principles which I've just referenced detailed in a subject specific way. So in geography, how are those 6 principles being delivered? You can read up about that. In history, how are those curriculum principles being delivered, and so on and so forth. But I certainly think the roadmap document is really useful to see which units and which topic areas are being studied at which stages, and that provides a parent with a fantastic overview, of course. But we will, of course, talk to you more and more in the coming months and years about our curriculums. We really believe in school being a positive place for young people, and we are increasingly having conversations as the senior leadership team about how we can offer more positive learning, reinforcement, opportunities, etc. One thing that's extremely popular, you can see on the bottom left-hand image here on this screen, is the golden ticket that operates. So on a termly basis, students that have gone above and beyond are nominated and are awarded with a golden ticket. And like I say, on a termly basis, these students have a ticket to attend what is a very special trip. What we've done in the past is booked out the Greenwich Picture House, and we have the cinema just booked out just for John Roan students on that particular moment, and our students find that as a really sort of special opportunity when they feel that their hard work has been recognised, and we think that's really, really important. We've done other things quite recently which have been really successful too, such as meals in restaurants, and as sort of just on an ongoing basis, we believe that awarding students with certificates in assemblies and offering pride stickers and sending above and beyond notifications to parents. These are sort of regular things that are very, very important and help us create that really positive culture here at the John Roan School. Dr. Sanderson already presented some of those key dates to you, and you will have received the postcard in the post with the key dates on. But just for your reference again, please be aware that your admission meeting is the meeting where you will come to the John Roan School, and we will make sure we've got all of the key information in regards to your family and your child on our system. You will receive an invitation to that event, but actually in about a week's time, you'll receive a link to start completing the admissions document. This is now done online. We used to do it in a booklet format, and it was actually last year was the first year that we did this online. And fortunately, it was a very smooth process, so we were delighted with that. However, if there are any families that have access issues in regards to IT, we will have a provision on the day where we've got computers set up and people can log in, and there'll be support also available in regards to filling in the admission documentation. So that's certainly a key date for the diary. We offer a friendship morning, which will be targeted to students that we know are coming to us from primary schools where there are no other students coming. So like a lone attendee from a particular primary school, we'd like to support that student in terms of meeting others. And some of our children that have additional needs will be invited as well as an additional step to support that smooth transition. All students will be invited to a friendship evening, and we'll have the parent information evening at the same time. And finally, the Greenwich Borough Student Induction Day is listed there. You'll see that we have that the day after the parent information evening. We find that that works really well. So we'll have the opportunity to in many cases reassure parents and to provide really clear information about the following day, and that works very, very well. And the fact that the students will be mixing in a really positive environment on the friendship evening, we'll have lots of sporting and creative activities set up for the children, so that again on Wednesday the 2nd of July they're coming into our school site and they're not feeling like they're as nervous as they might have been otherwise. Okay, so our objective is that the transition from primary to secondary is as smooth as possible. There is discussions taking place in regards to potential summer school activities, but we'll communicate with you about those separately. And finally, on behalf of our friends in the JRSA stands for the John Roan School Association. And the JRSA are an organisation of parents that are doing a magnificent job. I've just got some bullet points here on the screen which will kind of summarise the work of the organisation. They are absolutely very active in supporting students, teachers and the school leadership team. And we have a very open sort of line of communication with the JRSA and the chair of the JRSA. The JRSA offer lots of social events, fundraising events. Dr. Sanderson was hosting our quiz night this time last week, I think, actually. And what's really exciting is you've already got your first invitation, which is to a barbecue on the 12th of July. So as mentioned, there's quiz nights, there's barbecues, there's different social occasions, which I know parents enjoy because it's not always that you get the opportunity to mix with other parents and have those really important conversations. And it's nice to compare notes. I know that from a parent's perspective as well. It's nice to hear from other parents and share opinions and views. And the JRSA are honestly a fantastic resource in that area. So like I said, the JRSA barbecues on the 12th of July. It would be lovely to see people attend that. And as discussed a moment ago, we do apologise for not having the video on. It was a little bit of a technical issue, but hopefully you found that the slides were very informative. What we're going to attempt to do now is open up, not so much open up, respond to the array of questions that have come through the chat. And the questions I'm sure will be really, really useful because they may be questions that other people are wondering about as well. So I'm just going to hand back to Dr. Sanderson now. Thank you.
Hello everyone, we're going to try and stop sharing the PowerPoint so you can actually see our faces. Apologies that you haven't been able to see our face up until now. That was an issue with Teams. If you press stop sharing. Oh, that one. Just a moment, everyone. Stop. Oh. Mouse won't go up there. Okay. Right, shut that one down. Sorry, just a moment, everyone. We're really keen for you to see our faces, which is why we're going to try and do this. I'm going to start to answer some questions while Mr. Garvey is trying to fiddle around with it so you can actually see our faces. Apologies. So one question was about how many teachers we have at the school. We have around approximately 70 teachers in total, but your child will have about 8 teachers, so about 8 different people they will need to get to know. There was also a question around break time. So we have break time at 10 past 10. And then that goes on until 10:30. So that's 20 minutes that they have in the morning. And then we have lunchtime, which will be around 50 minutes lunchtime. A question about parents' evening. So you will have a parents' evening once every year, but there will be other opportunities to meet with your child's teachers. We do encourage regular communication via email, but of course, if you'd like to meet your child's teachers, then you're more than welcome to do that. Can we not press stop sharing? No. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Another question about class numbers. So most of our classes are between about 28 or 30 students. That's quite standard. How often students meet with the pastoral lead? So every morning we start our day with roll call, which is a really important routine for us. And the roll call is led by the child's head of year. So they will get to see their head of year every morning at roll call. And at roll call, they will also have the key stage lead being present as well. So there is daily contact there. Very important question came up about musical instruments, and that is a really key part of life at the John Roan. We are very passionate about that. Every child will get the opportunity to learn a musical instrument of their choice. That is free of charge, and that is something that is very important to us. We have loads of extracurricular music clubs that go on. Music is definitely a very big part of the school. I'm now going to hand over to Dr. Taylor Mullings, who is going to answer some of the questions that have come up in relation to behaviour. And I do apologise that you can't see our faces. We have tried with the tech, but forgive us, none of us are that tech savvy. You will be able to see my face on the video that is on the website. And of course, you will get lots of face-to-face events with us where you will be able to see us. So over to Dr. Taylor Mullings.
Okay, so I've got 4 questions in relation really around behaviour. So the first question is, how do we discipline students? The first thing to say really is that in terms of our approach, what we try to do is to teach students the behaviour that we want to see. So we spend a lot of time investing in making sure that students understand where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, how we begin lessons, how we do, for example, roll call that Dr. Sanderson was talking about, so that all students have an opportunity to learn about what our behaviour expectations are and to be able to practice those routines so that they know how to get them how to do them really well. From there, of course, like all secondary schools, then we do have, we set high expectations in terms of our behaviour. And when they are not met, then we have a number of systems. So for example, in the classroom, we have a warning system. So we have a system in which students are, if students, for example, misbehave in the classroom, they'd receive a warning. So an opportunity for them to correct their behaviour. If something were then to happen again, they'd receive a second warning. And then on the third warning at that stage, then there'd be an intervention from the member of staff in which they might ask them to leave the classroom. Outside of the classroom, there are other sanctions, for example, in terms of detentions. And most of our detentions are 30 minutes. And they can range for example, we don't allow students to chew gum in the building as an example, and they might get a detention for that, or if they've got the incorrect uniform. So essentially the answer to that question is really that we try to teach the behavior, we teach them the behavior that we want to see, set really high expectations in terms of what we want in terms of behavior, and then use our sanctions such as detentions or such as our referral room for students who have been removed from lessons in order to be able to retrieve the behavior. What we also do is encourage our students to do restorative. So, for example, if there is an issue in the lesson, that they meet with the teacher and the teacher explains or re-explains the standard for them, and so that they've got an opportunity to be able to communicate with the teacher about what went wrong, so that when they return to their lesson, they feel really, really confident that actually the issue that happened in the previous lesson has been dealt with, and they get to have a fresh start at the beginning of the next lesson. The second question was about how is bullying dealt with, and similarly, we have high expectations around students in terms of our interaction. So, demonstrating, as Mr. Garvey talked about before, we expect all of our students to demonstrate our pride values, and that's really important to how it is that we all exist and are able to be educated together in the same school. And so our starting point really is about making sure that there are strong relationships between students and between adults and students as well. And that way, we believe that incidents of bullying, we are able therefore to keep them low. Where there are, unfortunately, incidents of bullying, well, we try to take really a staged approach. So in the first instance, it is about making sure that students understand the impact of their behaviour, and it might be the case that there is a restorative where we bring students together in order to be able to understand the impact of their behaviour and to make sure that we set the expectations. And then, of course, we go through our behaviour systems, where it might be the case that we have to put in a sanction, or it might be the case that we have to separate children altogether. But at each stage, what we try to do is to make sure that families are involved so that they know how it is that we're intervening. But again, our starting point is about setting high expectations of how it is that we expect students to behave in the building. And we don't tolerate any bullying. And very early on in students' lives at the school, they are told that in an assembly. So that's really clear for them. And then we remind them in assemblies throughout the year and at the beginning of each year. And that way we keep bullying to a low level. There was a question about mobile phones and are mobile phones allowed? My answer to that in some ways is yes, but no. And the reason why I say yes is that students are, if you permit them to, allowed to bring a mobile phone to school, is what happens. The no aspect in it is that they are not allowed to be to use it on the school site. So as parents and carers, if you decide that you want your child to have a mobile phone to go to school, and I know many parents will want to, so that they can talk to their child on the way to school, on the way home, or they've got a mechanism to be able to contact them in emergency, and so they allow them to use their mobile phone. That's absolutely fine, and we will allow that to happen. However, what's really important, and we emphasize this to students, is that before they come into school, so before they get onto the school grounds, it's important when they get to the gate that they turn off their mobile phone completely and they put it in their bags. And we say that they should put it in their bags because we don't want it in their pockets, or we don't want it in in their blazers, because on the school site it cannot be seen or heard at any stage during the school day. And that's really important for students to know. So they can bring their mobile phone to school, but it cannot be seen or heard on the school premises. If it is, then it will be confiscated. Even if it's done as an error or a mistake, they need to make sure that it's in their bag so that those things can't happen. And then if it is, then we will be asking a parent or carer to come and collect it, and they'll have to come and collect it from the principal. So in terms of mobile phones, then yes, they can bring their mobile phone to school, and they do so at their own risk, of course. However, it cannot be seen or heard on the school site whatsoever. So it must be switched off and in their bags, because if it is seen or heard, then it will be confiscated. Fourth is about toilets, and do students need a pass to go to the toilet? So essentially our system for going to the toilet is that students should go to the toilet before school, at break time, at lunchtime, and after school. And what we will do is encourage your child to make sure that they take those opportunities to go to the toilet, even if they don't feel that they need to, just check to make sure that they do during those periods, because we want them to be in lessons all of the time to make sure that they're maximizing their learning time. There are, of course, occasions when, is the case, that sometimes students may drink more water than they anticipated, or they may have not gone to the toilet when they thought they didn't need to, and then now need to. And the teacher, of course, can make a judgment call, because sometimes a student might be really desperate and actually, whilst they're not allowed to go to the toilet during lesson time, need to go because there's an emergency and therefore they need to go. And the teacher will use their judgment to speak to the student and then allow them to go to the toilet. But as a principal, they need to go before school, at break time, at lunchtime, and at the end of the school day. But they will be allowed to go if there is emergency to be able to do so. We do know, however, that some students, there are medical concerns or medical challenges where they may need to go to the toilet more frequently. If that is the case and that applies to your child, that is perfectly fine. All we need from you is a medical evidence. So, for example, a letter from your child's GP in order to be able to demonstrate that. We will keep that on file and we will put that in our system. Dr. Sanderson talked about Arbor earlier, which is our management system, so that all teachers will be able to see that your child has got a medical issue and therefore will need to go to the toilet. And then obviously they can go when it is that they need to go as set out by the GP. So the answer to that question about do they need a pass to go to the toilet, our expectation is that they go in the morning, break time, or lunchtime, or after school. If for any reason that there is an emergency and they need to, then the teacher will make that professional judgment. For children who have a medical concern, then we just need the medical evidence from a medical professional, and then we will be able to give them a pass to be able to go to the toilet. Okay.
There's a number of questions that have come through the chat that I'll try and respond to. One parent was asking about Braithwaite. Who, when, is it for everybody? So Braithwaite trips take place in June and the first week of July, so in our summer term. And each year group have a designated week, essentially. So there's 26 children that will go from each year group each week, essentially. So what we'll do is we'll recognise that there might be a student in year 8 that didn't have the opportunity to go in year 7 that was totally keen to attend. So we won't have students sort of double attending or triple attending. So we'll share those places around over the years. But we do recognise that might mean that everyone doesn't have the opportunity. But what we have also committed to is that every student at the John Roan School has had a minimum of 1 day of outdoor adventurous activities. So we're in a situation now, not including the current year 7 cohort, but we're in a situation now where every student in year 8 up all the way to year 13 have had a day at Stubbers Adventure Centre where they've done kayaking, rock climbing, etc., etc. So Braithwaite operates as such in June for respective year groups. There were some questions about football teams. The school has a really glittering history of success in terms of football. We're proud of a current Premiership star, Abere Eze, who's an ex-student. Him and his 2 brothers, who are all professional footballers, come back to us regularly. And actually, all of our Year 7 students have bags that have been given to them by Abere Eze, which they're really proud of, a lot of them. But they come in and do a range of things in regards to like career ambition talks. They've provided us rewards for really good behaviour and progress, etc. So that's a kind of a lovely link there that we've got. But I'm sure the question was about actually participation. So we have 5 teams. They participate in the Greenwich Borough Leagues. That's boys football. We have 2 girls teams that operate. So we have like a Key Stage 3 and a Key Stage 4 team. And like I say, we perform in the Greenwich Borough, but also in the London Cup. So my team a few years ago got to the final of the London Cup. We were very disappointed to lose in the final 1-0, but it was a great achievement to be within the sort of top 2 teams within the whole of the City of London. So we do have particularly talented footballers that attend the John Roan School. There was a question here from a parent about our location next to the park. The park is a magnificent resource, of course it is. So some PE lessons will take place in the park, such as cross country orienteering. The science department make great use of the resources in the park. Every student in year 8 last year went to the planetarium, for example, as a pride session. So that was fantastic. And I know at post 16, there's lots of experiments that are taking place in the park within again the science department. So yeah, fantastic resource, fantastic for student well-being. I know the students enjoy walking through the park, particularly in the summer term, and we of course do our community patrol through the park to make sure our students are behaving themselves. How big is the school? One parent asked. I think we have just under 1,200 students. It's not as big as some of our local schools, but I wouldn't regard it as a small school by any stretch of the imagination. In my eyes, it's just absolutely right. It's appropriate. So we have the opportunity of having that real kind of personal touch here at the John Roan School, where we're not an enormous school, whilst being a big school, big bustling school where lots and lots of things are happening. One parent was asking about how food is paid for. We use biometric fingerprints to pay for food because we're a cash-free school, and you'll find that that's very common in all secondary schools these days. In the admissions paperwork, you will have the option to give consent for the biometric fingerprint process, or if you want, your child will be provided with a code so they can put a 4-digit code in. But through parent pay, parents will top up the accounts of their children so that food can be purchased. You can also monitor the food that your children are buying, which is obviously a brilliant resource for you guys. There was a question here about SEND support for children that are coming to the school that are looking for that additional support. And if I can just emphasize that is why a really good transition process is incredibly important. So we get out and we meet the Senko and the class teacher of our incoming students. Again, in the summer term, we do that. And the paperwork is passed from primary to secondary so that we are totally ready for a really strong start in September, and that's the language we use, a strong start. So it's about us working very collaboratively and effectively with our primary partners, and that does take place. Okay, so if you do have questions in the meantime, before we even have met with your primary school, Senko, etc., you're very welcome to email. I saw a couple of emails coming in today, for example. You're very welcome to email the school and they'll be directed to the appropriate people. Okay. There was one question about a pop-up shop for uniform. We have a date that's already on the postcard that was sent to you, and yes, I think the answer to that question is yes, these pop-up uniform facilities are available, and I know that they're really good resource as well in terms of saving some money. I think there was one more question there about Latin. Do we offer a Latin club?
Would love to, sir.
There we go. So I think whenever we're not offering a club and someone says, can we or do we, it would always makes us say, right, we're not doing that, but can we? So that might be something for us to look into. And as I mentioned with the school council earlier on, they can really champion areas of interest that we're sort of not meeting perhaps. So that's a really good question, something we can certainly look into. Okay.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much for your time. I think we've covered most of your questions. There was something about the uniform grant. So could you talk through the uniform grant?
Yes, absolutely. So we are provided with some sponsorship from the John Roan Foundation, which will support parents. So there's some documentation which is pretty straightforward to fill in. So if parents are interested in getting some support with buying uniforms, which I'm sure many will be, there's a document that we can share with you. You fill that in, and then we'll communicate with you following the sort of receipt of that document.
And are students fingerprinted to get lunch?
They are. So what we typically do is we won't do that on the first induction day because it's a busy day and there's a lot of other things going on. So we'll provide lunch on that day. But then on the first day, in September. The students, it's quite a quick process really. They'll record their fingerprint, and then that will just be linked to their student profile. So when it works well, it's very effective and swift. Sometimes there can be a delay, particularly with our new students in year 7. So what we do is we actually extend the lunch period for the year 7 so that they're having lunch before the wider school community for the first few weeks, and then we kind of we reduce that time just so that there's that additional support put in at the beginning.
And there was a question asked about why there are different colours of different coloured ties. That's so that we can identify different year groups. And the final question I wanted to address was a question about how the school is a place of joy. And what we want at the John Roan is that to have really high expectations so that the students learn really well. We don't have any time that is distracted, that is disrupted. We are focused upon learning all the time, but at the same time, we look for opportunities to praise children. We have huge, big rewards. You heard Mr. Garvey talk about the Golden Postcard Award. Teachers, every lesson are awarding pride points. Students will get prizes at the end of term for their pride points. So that's how we want children to work hard, but we also want to take every opportunity to recognise the children who are working hard, but also for them to enjoy their learning. And this is really important, that lessons should be things that the children are really excited about. They've got teachers who are really passionate about their subjects, and students really want to learn. They look forward to going to their lessons. And that's how we want the John Roan to be a place of joy. I think we have actually covered most of the questions. But what we will do is that we'll group these questions into kind of themes. We'll put responses to those themes, and we will put that in a document that is posted on the website. And that's in the admissions section. You go to admissions and you'll be able to see that there. Also, the recorded link to this assembly will be there. So apologies again, you didn't get to see our faces, but we will really look forward to meeting you face to face on the 19th of May. That is the admissions meeting. You will come in with your child and you will complete the forms that we need, and you'll get to meet some of the other teachers. That's the first date in the diary. Is that right, Sam?
Correct.
And you will get a letter with all the dates included there. But if you have any other questions or concerns, please do email. You can email via the website, and we will do our best to get back to you and give you the answers that you need. So it's been lovely talking to you tonight. Really looking forward to welcoming all of you to our community at the John Roan, and look forward to seeing you in face on the 19th. Bye bye, everyone. We're going to end the meeting now. Thank you.